What's up, everybody? Jackson here today with my little brother Chubbz.
Hello, everyone.
Today we're going to be doing our review of Outward. This is a formal review. We're over 80 hours into the game at this point, so we feel comfortable talking about the more intricate details of it, as opposed to the other video where we were 8 hours in. There's impressions. We've played through the game now. We've seen almost all the places. We haven't done all the storylines, but we've done almost everything. So here's our review. So the way we want to do this is we want to kick this off, start at the top with problems that we felt like were the most severe. And we're going to go from that into the problems that less until we're finally just kind of going to sugarcoat the shit out of the game, which is inevitably going to happen because we had a bunch of fun with it for the price that they charged for it, $30.
I think it was 40.
Was it 40?
40.
Yeah, that's right, 40. Either way, jam-packed, full of value. I felt like I got my money's worth and then some, because eventually we're going to replay it. Because the amount of replayability here. But with the problems being some of them even potentially game-breaking, I feel like we should start there. Because it does have a lot of problems. It does need updates. It needs some patches to smooth things out. And I hope that 9 Dots continues to update on the game. And some point these complaints are null and void. Yeah. That'd be excellent.
Oh, yeah.
So to start with, there's a bug that can happen. The first time it happened to me, I was trying to get water out of the salt water out of the ocean.
Yeah.
I was on a little too steep of a ledge, and I got perma-stuck trying to fill up my water, and I couldn't move. I'd exit game, reload. The character would still be there because of the way that it constantly saves, just like Dark Souls. So every time you do anything in the game, it's saving. It's just auto-saving.
Yep.
And this was a problem, but I had seen an article from PC Gamer about how you could go through and where the save files were and how to back up, basically just delete back to a save where you weren't stuck, which was a very excellent article. I'm glad I stumbled across it. And a very easy fix. We figured it out. We did it, no problem. But while I was doing it, I was thinking in my head, I was like, if you were on the console, this is a potentially game-breaking bug. The only thing I could think of that you could do that's similar to this would be to back up your save file to the cloud or to a USB thumb drive. It's the only way that this wouldn't be a game-breaking bug for you, where your character is just now stuck and you have to fucking start over.
Exactly.
Right? And this happened multiple times through no fault of our own. I mean, sometimes, sure, yeah, we dodged and rolled off a ledge and got stuck in the environment, falling down. Yeah.
Things. There were some instances in Enmerker Forest where we both died in a dungeon, and then my bag just like glitched off the map. Yeah. So I had to go back in my game and do this trick to reload a previous save.
Yes, and so if you were on the console, I'm pretty sure, unless you were keeping hard saves going up onto the cloud or onto your USB thumb drive the whole time, every time you got to a point, but if you did this and like, you could lose hours and hours, especially if it happened to you and you hadn't been doing that, because why would you? What games do you do that on?
Exactly.
You know, on the PS4 or on, you know, like what games do you feel the need to like constantly upload your save to the cloud? Like that's usually there for swapping it to another system or something like that.
Exactly.
It's rarely ever you're just like, oh, I'm super scared that this game is going to get stuck and my character's just going to be stuck. And so that's a game-breaking bug that needs to be patched. I mean, we were talking back and forth, and I think a easy solution would be a kill command. Some sort of like a combination of buttons if you're on the console. But I mean, there's a chat box for PC. Yeah. So just having a simple /kill it just murders your character would be the best way.
With no repercussions. There's repercussions when you die, but I would say if you had this being an easy fix, if you did implement it in the game, have no repercussions, you know?
Well, if it needs to have repercussion, that's fine.
Whatever.
I'd rather...
But still,
yeah, because
like,
the way the nature of the way death works in the game, it doesn't really matter.
It's true.
Like, what's the worst that can happen? You usually just get taken safely back to town or something. You have to rest.
True.
You know, like, very rarely is there anything that's really a huge hit to you.
Yeah, like a huge negative
I mean, it can
impact,
happen.
yeah.
You can get dragged back to enemy camps and things like that. So it can happen, but it's rare. In our experience,
rare,
it was fairly rare.
We really didn't have that issue.
Yeah, so like and I mean, a simple hit the pause menu and then press like something and hold it down. Yeah. I don't know. They could it needs to be fixed.
Somehow this should be fixed.
It's game breaking. Potentially game breaking bugs need to be fixed. That
especially on console where you don't have this fixed.
Now, another problem was that we kept running into in multiplayer, and this could be a cause of some sort of net coding or something, but it could be because we're playing online co-op on the same internet, right? And it's not the best internet. So, but what would happen is in the thick of combat, we take our bags off so that we could dodge more easily, run faster, consume less stamina for movement. You know, it's basically just a very good policy to get into your head is just drop your bag on the ground when it comes to combat.
Oh, yeah.
And so in the mix of that combat, before we had gotten our builds going and our weapons going, me and you both happened to die several times, you know, during some of these encounters. Things are happening that you're not expecting, you're going to die. The game is built to kill you, you know what I mean? So when we would die, we would respawn, and it would show me where my bag was. Either the bag would respawn near me, or it would be where we had fallen. But Chubbz would have disappeared. Your bag was just gone, bro.
Yep.
And in order to get it back, you had to go and dig through save files.
Exactly. And in the case of Endmerker, to go into more details of that, it was like we died in the dungeon with my bag being off on the floor of the dungeon. And normally if I die in your game and my bag wasn't on me, it would just spawn where I dropped it.
This is a rare occurrence that it would disappear completely. That's why we're calling it a bug.
Yeah, exactly. And it only happened in this one specific dungeon. I think it was the Vigil Tower, the Crystal Tower in Endmerker Forest. But still, so I had dropped it in there, and we would run out, or like, you know, wherever it would take us. Sometimes it would just drag us up to the top of a mountain because some guy put us up there.
The dude who saved you, I forget his name, but yeah.
But either way, we would run out into the open world, and I would see my bag, and I would run towards it, and it would just lead me to a dead end of just giant mountains that are impassable. And so it was
exactly where it was. It was the area with the little teleport crystals that you teleport through the... Yeah, exactly. It was in there.
It was in that
And we
dungeon.
went in there and it wasn't there. And so like you had to reload an old save.
Exactly.
To get your bag
your
back.
game to go back onto my PC, go into my files.
And get rid of all the saves that, you know, and
go
get back to where you got your bag. Which if you were on the console, unless you were periodically leaving your friend's game, exiting out, uploading your data, you know, and so on and so forth for the whole time you're playing it, this is going to be a huge problem. This is going to be a potentially playthrough. I wouldn't call it game breaking. I'd play it playthrough breaking.
Yeah.
So like you can continue, yes, not in the case of like the first one where you literally cannot continue. You're stuck in place you know what I mean? There's no way to get back to playing if you hadn't uploaded your save. So you're going to have to start over. This is playthrough breaking because it doesn't halt your progress, but it definitely slows it down in a huge big bad way.
Oh yeah.
Because it takes from you all of your possessions. It depends on how long you've been into the game before you join your friend and play with them. It could be, you know, that super, I can't remember who, but like the legendary merchant backpack that's like the best in the game.
Yeah.
What if you lost that? Like that would suck.
Oh yeah.
That's why I'd say it's not game breaking, but it's playthrough breaking. You know, it'll ruin a playthrough for sure if that happens to a player. And with that much weight, they obviously want the increase in capacity for a reason, so they've probably got some rare things on them, some things they want to hold on to.
Everything in there.
Well, the way the magic works, you have to have a lot of stones and other sorts of physical components to, you know, use your spells to their maximum capacity. So you can have farmed a bunch of that and just want to carry it around with you. And bam, just like that, your build is now broken.
Yep.
Because now you're not going to be as effective with your spells as you would have been if you had those physical components that you lost in your friend's game due to net coding, whatever. It could be the internet. Who knows? Whatever it is, it shouldn't happen, and that needs to be fixed.
Yeah.
We had this weird, peculiar one. So we went through, we found all the factions. Before we decided on which one we wanted to go to all of them. But I think we both immediately, because of where we're from, like a lot of the vacations and things we had, we were instantly into the desert. And so Levant and Abrazar Desert, Levant is the faction for the exiles, or what were they?
I think it was the heroic kingdom of Levant.
That's what it is, the heroic kingdom of Levant.
Yeah.
And they're kind of a cobbled together force of misfits and things, and they're having trouble, and it's really cool. Without spoiling anything, it would be the equivalent of joining like a more free society that wants to be self-dependent, but has also got a lot of old interests involved in the course of the kingdom, who are, causing trouble behind the scenes, like doing shit that you kind of, as you join their faction, you kind of fill out.
Oh yeah.
So that was the faction we went with, and it was great. We loved the desert, despite some of the graphical glitches and bugs, which were mostly prevalent in the desert. A lot of lighting problems with the shadows, where they would flash in and out of existence.
A lot of pop-ins on textures.
Yeah, like weird, like fuzzy textures going on some of the buildings and stuff.
Oh yeah, the water and the oil, like sometimes the liquid just like would just
yeah, and it was pretty severe in the desert, but I'd say that held true for most of the game. The water was not that great looking.
Yeah, no, yeah.
That would be the one part of the graphics that I would sincerely critique, because I felt like a minimalistic style didn't hurt the game. I felt that honestly, the minimalistic art style, it brought me back to memories of like Dragon's Dogma. Like it harkened me back to that game, and like that, and almost exactly with the experience and the way the camera is set and everything. I mean, the combat is vastly different, builds vastly different, but I mean, when you come out of the lighthouse place and you go to the right, you're on a shore. And it just felt very, even geographically, it kind of had a very Dragon's Dogma vibe to me.
Oh yeah, especially the starting of Dragon's Dogma, and not just that, but the map too.
Yeah, caves.
Yeah.
The caves felt very Dragon's Dogma-y, some of them.
Oh yeah.
But either way, so the art style I felt doesn't hurt it, because the thing about it is that if a game looks sufficient enough to pull you in, it doesn't even matter. It could look cartoony as fuck, like Kingdoms of Amalur, straight up animated by Todd McFarlane. Right. So that game has a very cartoonish comic booky vibe to it, right?
Oh yeah.
And so it could look like that and still draw me in, because the RPG elements are so strong. But what I think you need to do is, if that sort of water isn't working, you need to find a different sort of water. It doesn't have to be, see-through, and doesn't have to have effects on it.
It doesn't have to look like
it just needs to look good.
Yeah.
Like, and the water in this didn't look good. It was very, like, the light would hit it weird, and it would be there and then gone and then black and then, like, super black. Like,
oh yeah, just glitching
like
in and
shadow was, like, forced over the whole thing. Like, a shadow texture was just forced over the whole thing. It was...
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know what's going on there, but I feel like that was the part with the graphics. Like, everything else I felt had a huge amount of charm to it.
Oh, yeah.
It felt...
Except for how your character model looks.
The character models are ugly as shit.
The character models that you can pick from are stupid looking.
They are all bad.
Just dumb.
Yeah, dude. I struggled to make one that looked good, and finally I was like, I'm going with the old man face. It looks the most normal, but I think it's just because it had the beard on it.
So it like covered up everything.
Yeah. But yeah, the character models are awful. But for the most part, I mean, even the in-game characters though, it's not even like, it doesn't even, it's almost like just at the character select screen. Is that something where you would actually be like, man, these character models are ugly.
Oh yeah.
I mean, for the most part, the NPCs they have like equipment on and gear, so it's not really that noticeable.
And then the characters,
it's not really a thought that goes on in your head when you hit these bustling cities with all these NPCs. You don't. It's more of like, wow, this is really cool. The design of this city, the layout of this city is really,
yeah,
it's pretty spectacular.
And then
that's the whole game.
Some of the NPCs, they have that like light tattoo, so you're not really focused on how they look, but you're focused on that shit, and you're like, what is that, and you're wondering what that is in context to the story. There's some cool stuff in this game for sure.
Yeah, and the thing about it though is that there's the bugs that hurt the experience.
Oh yeah.
And one of those was us choosing the Levant Kingdom, the Heroic Kingdom, choosing them and having this bug where if you were in my game, we would try to load into the city and like it would not load us in.
Yeah.
It would have on my screen, it would say, waiting for other players, which means that I'm loaded and ready to go. But my co-op partner, who's also in my game, he's not. His computer, he's not loaded in yet. So looking at that, and it just took forever. Like so long. It was a permanent loading screen to the point where we just hit Alt F4 and just closed out the program and reopened it and rejoined.
Yeah.
And every time, it was after we had done a few steps during the Heroic Kingdom's quest line, but every time that we would go there together, it would happen. Mm-hmm. So what we tried is Chubbz was like, look, I'm going to bounce out. You just go in, get all the stuff. And we were going to set up a camp outside. And I was like, all right. So I went in and I was going to grab all of because we had set up like little permanent camps everywhere we went with a bag on the ground for a stash, a couple of plant tents, just basically just a go-to spot if you're in the area.
You don't have a house and you don't want to spend money at an inn. It's easy to set up permanent campsites within the city. And so it's a safe
even in the
zone.
Wilderness in certain places that are like far away, that if it's night out you can go stop in there.
Yeah.
And so I was going in there to pick up the bag, and Chubbz was like, here, let me see something. And he joined my game again while I was in town, and he loaded in no problem. But then when he was trying to load out of the city, we got the permanent loading screen again. So this was like, and it was only in Levant. We never had this problem in any other city.
I don't know. Well, okay, so for example, what would happen in the game was when I would load in, my frames would run like shit. It would be stuttering all over the place. And on your screen, you would be watching me run on my screen, and it was like a slow walk. And on my screen, it was me running, but because it was running at such a low speed, I don't even know how to explain it. We've got
on
footage
my screen,
of it.
It looked like you were like slow walking in place. Yeah. It was weird.
We've got footage of it, but regardless, it would happen in...
that would happen all the time in all the cities, right?
Except for the very beginning. I remember it not happening...
Cherchenet?
Yeah. Okay. I remember it not happening until after we pushed out of Cherchenet and we went to other cities, and then it would only happen at some places. And it wasn't like it wouldn't only happen at cities. Like, it would happen out in the wild. It would happen at cities. It would happen in the middle of dungeons.
Well, I had a lot of problems in frame drops in... What was the place in the Hollowed Marsh? They're not clerics, but... I can't recall the name of that city.
Oh.
Monsoon.
Monsoon, yeah.
In Monsoon, I had a huge amount of frame drops. And all I did was I kicked the water quality to low, I think is what I did, and it made a huge difference.
Right.
Once again, going back to the water, which seemed to be having a lot of problems.
Right. And
all the time.
This wasn't a graphical thing.
But yeah, I think yours was straight up connection.
It was a connectivity issue, and I'm not sure if it was our internet or it had to have been with the game, because
it's the game, because we do not have the best internet, but when we play games like Dark Souls or Borderlands, we never have any problem. If we're uploading a video in the background, there's a lot of games that all of a sudden we can't play.
Yes.
And if we're going to play, we got to accept a certain amount of wackiness.
Exactly.
Like Dark Souls, where the AI just decides to go fucking crazy.
Sprint around in circles.
Go fucking nuts and do all the randomness shit ever.
Ever in the world.
Like, yeah. So, like, yes, it's not a problem unless we're uploading a video. We weren't uploading a video.
At all.
When we were uploading a video and we were trying to play this game, we could not play it at all.
At all.
At all.
But what would...
You would join and it would automatically disconnect you.
Oh, yeah. And the thing about this bug happening when my frames would be so shitty to the point where it was like I couldn't even move, oftentimes the fix was just resting.
Yeah.
You know, like reloading.
Yeah, it would fix it. Reloading the area. We'd just go back to the camp and drop in the tent, like the sleeping bag, sleep for an hour.
Exactly. And so then I would reload in and everything would be fixed. And this would happen in random places throughout the entirety of the outside world, as well as dungeons and cities, and it would just be that fix, right? But when it was Levant, it was almost like there was nothing that would fix that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was just you were stuck there perma-loading forever.
Yeah, and the thing about the loading wasn't accompanied to that like visual lag out connection until that point where you got the house in Levant that was tied to the faction, because every faction has like a house that you can buy.
That you can buy
after you join.
Of the towns.
Yeah, after you join the faction in that town, right? And you got the house, and it was around that time where that was happening, where we were trying to load, and it would just like lag out the whole time. The loading wheel, it wouldn't even like load me in. And so the fix to that was every time we would go to Levant, I would have to leave your game, go back to my game, let you load in, and it would, like, sometimes yours would even like glitch out and it wouldn't load, you know what I mean? Oh yeah,
like, no, I wasn't loading in at all if you were in my game.
Right. Well,
it would not load us in at all.
Would it load your game at all?
Oh, like, yeah, but the cities took fairly long load times.
Right, but
like, that is the thing. Like, there was Levant was more so, but I think that was related to the amount of NPCs in it, and Monsoon also. Like Berg and Cierzo, I had no problem with Berg and Cierzo.
Yeah, same here.
At all.
A couple of issues with Berg, but it wouldn't happen like half as much.
Yeah,
as
not
Levant.
as nearly as much as Levant, and not nearly. And Monsoon too. I remember Monsoon. It happened a lot in Monsoon.
Oh
too.
yeah.
In either way, that was a problem.
Oh yeah.
Because that's like, you gotta leave my game, reconnect to my game, and that's just a bitch.
Mm-hmm.
And on console, I think it would be worse, because in my experience, even with our internet wired, the Sony has a lot more problem getting good connectivity with games due to the fact that it's going through PSN.
Exactly, yeah.
Right, so that bogs it down already. So if this is something in Xbox, I'm not sure. I've never owned an Xbox, so I can't speak to anything about that.
Right.
But on the PS4 version of this game, there could be people who are having a lot of problems connecting to friends, especially if they live in more rural areas and they already have poor internet to begin with. Then it goes through the Sony, you know what I mean? So like, that's something that's fucked. And that needs to be worked on, definitely. Like, there needs to be net code fixes or whatever the hell needs to be fixed. Let people who are in each other's games be seamlessly connected and stay connected throughout the duration of their play. And because that's one of the biggest pluses to this game, is that it is multiplayer. That is the way I would suggest you play this game. That is the way I think this game was intended to be played. When I think of our experience. And the way that we molded our builds together to work in tandem to just basically be able to kill everything before it could even fucking touch us.
Yep.
And so with that in mind, that needs to be seamless, because you got two people buying 2 copies of this game. That's $40 fucking each. That's, you know, $80.
$80.
That's, you know, you've earned your dollar, in my opinion, as soon as that's seamless. And I'm not going to condemn it right now because I don't know how bad it was on the PS4. And as far as the PC, what we had to deal with, it was a minor annoyance.
Yeah, minor annoyance.
It was just Chubbz had to bounce out, then join me in my game when we were there, then bounce out and join me back in my game when we were out of the city.
Yep.
Yeah, it was kind of annoying, but it wasn't a huge deal. Right? It wasn't a huge deal. It didn't ruin our playthrough. It didn't tarnish.
No.
But when I was going through this list, I was of things I wanted to talk about at the forefront of the video before we get into all the good things. I wanted to talk about the things that were the most severe. And I think that knowing how the PS4 is with connectivity, that's why this landed on the list. Because while it was a minor annoyance for us, on console this could potentially ruin your friend even wanting to play it.
Mm-hmm.
If it's like problems with connecting, it could be like your friend's like, fuck this, I'm not going to play this game, and he deletes it. And that's a sad situation. And that happens more and more nowadays. And I don't get the feeling that Nine Dots wants to fall into that side of the aisle.
Yeah.
Because from the experience of the game that they gave me with the open world exploration that is fucking amazing, dude, so solid. Like stumbling onto a cave that's not listed on the map, going in there, having like a mini adventure inside of just exploring the known locations on the map and going into those, which are super just jaw-dropping at times. The one in Enmerker with the 3 heads and the 2 hands sitting out of the side of the mountain, dude, that shit is so fucking dope. Things like that, those are experiences I want, and some games give them to me. That's why Andromeda. That's why Andromeda, in my mind, I had a lot of fun with Andromeda. A lot of that was just coming across these super awesome sci-fi to the max spectacles. Right? I'm like, yeah, it doesn't leave as lasting an impression if they had fucking shipped a solid fucking story with functioning facial animations. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it would have a more lasting impression, but I will defend that because that's something that I love. And this game, that was fucking spectacular, dude. If that's another reason it reminded me of Dragon's Dogma, is because of the aesthetics, and also there was just this feeling of like, it felt so big up until the moment you had done it all and memorized it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that was so cool. Like, you would be able to say, okay, well, I want this weapon to start with, and you're able to go and get it very quickly. And you know, well, I know how to get, and that's like the best thing about this game, in my opinion, is this crazy like economy and gear-based progression system, dude.
Yeah.
With like these in-game characters that will train you for the right amount of coin, and you're given at the start, you're given 3 breakthrough points, and these must be spent on, you know, once they're spent, they're gone. And in order to gain access to the higher tier of skills and abilities that these skill trainers can teach, you have to sacrifice one of your breakthrough points. And this adds all sorts of interesting replayability options with, you know, like, because there are a lot of skill trainers. I think it's, oh Lord, like 6, 7 of them maybe? Probably
there's
more.
2 in each city.
2 in each city, so there's at least 8?
Yeah, I think.
At least 8? Maybe possibly more.
Yeah.
And on top of that, though, there's also people that you can just have casual conversations with, and it says they can teach you a skill.
Exactly.
And you can learn skills that way. Like, I had all sorts of magical skills. I had all sorts of skills that had nothing to do with my build. You know what I mean? We had a mana bar at the end for a couple of my gun skills.
Yeah.
But that was last minute when we got that really good pistol for doing the Levant playthrough.
Oh yeah, and it was like towards the tail end of the story that we actually went and got mana for the first time.
And so like that's the cool thing is our first playthrough, we decided, like Chubbz decided, I'm going to work on this bow because I like the bow. I like the idea of being able to pull them at range. And I'm like, dude, that's, and I'm going to go shield and I'll like pull them off of you and you can shoot them while I just stand and safely block. And of course that strategy had to change because we ran into a problem in Enmerker where things were just blowing through my shield stamina.
Yeah.
And so, and we had found a few of really good 2-handed weapons, and you were like, do you want one of these, bro? Like, you might as well just try one. And so then we ended up finding that trainer in Berg who taught you those really good gunshots. You got the sniper shot, and I was able to learn those as well, and that's what's cool.
Oh, yeah.
But then even within that, once you pop that breakthrough point, one of the 3 you're given from the beginning of the game, even after you pop that breakthrough point, you still have to choose one of 2 options at a certain point, which adds even another layer of choice to the, the character's build. So you went with the bow shot, I went with the ground slam. So it was, you would pull out your bow, you'd shoot one with that super shot that went through them and added bleeding. They would come charging to you, and then I would ground slam them to the ground and just boom, boom, dead. Dead with my 2-hander. And then I got that super awesome pistol, and I started to work with the pistol, so it eventually morphed into you would shoot them, and they'd come running at you, and then I'd shoot them with a shotgun blast that would drop them to the ground, and then we'd both just melee them until it was clean and have a good day.
Yep.
And it was just like, at the end, after we had spent our 3 breakthrough points to get the bonus stamina, the bonus health, and all these gun abilities, and your bow abilities, and my martial melee abilities, with the passive buffs and boons to go with it, we ended up feeling like unstoppable.
Oh, yeah.
Without gaining 1 point of experience. And that's fucking awesome. I can't say that about a lot of games where they have figured out a way to make you feel like a scrabbly little scrub and have you just through the acquisition of gear, selling, junk. You could legit set up base on a beach and just kill everything on the beach every day and fish every place on the thing. Make yourself a fisherman. And clear that beach, and then go to bed, wake up, do it again, and once you notice that the stuff in your bag's going to start rotting, run back to town, sell it, come back, do that. You could do that and progress in this game to a point where you feel more comfortable. Then on top of that, there's also this other progression with the backpacks. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Where you start out with the very low.
Just being able to increase your equipment weight is a huge resource in this. You know what I mean?
And it's a boon to your silver intake as well.
Oh yeah, because and not only that, but it also increases decreases time spent out in the world. You don't have to run back to the town as often.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, there was also the traveling merchant gear.
Yeah.
And
yeah. That's that. You know what? I almost have a little complaint with that.
Right.
But continue. Sorry.
Right. Well, the thing about it is, if you have all 3 pieces, it's a little OP or movement speed. And
it's the best armor in the game.
Oh yeah.
There's no reason to use anything else.
Exactly. But just having the movement speed definitely makes a huge difference when you're thinking about running from place to place.
Yeah, that's why it's the traveling trader gear, man.
Oh, yeah.
Get your ass going and let you have lots of pocket space.
And there's lots of instances. Pocket space.
Oh, yeah. That armor's the best armor in the game.
Oh, yeah.
It has fucking comfortable heat resistance. It has comfortable cold resistance, where with just a T, you're able to handle any environment.
Yeah, exactly.
You're able to handle the heat of the Abrazar Desert just as easily as the freezing cold of the Chersenay wilderness.
Right.
During a snowstorm.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, and you move faster, and you consume less stamina, and you have more pocket space, and it's just
a ridiculous amount of bonuses.
It is bar none the best armor in the game. Now, I'm not saying it needs to be balanced so much as I am saying that other types of gear needs to be balanced. I'd like to see those same perks, they add pocket space, add whatever, be able to be applied to any armor set in the game.
Yeah.
Let me apply that to my heavy armor that I got for the desert, so I can still run super fast and withstand the heat, and but on top of that, I'm also able to have more damage, because I've earned this armor.
And not only that, but I've spent a skill point in this tree that, reduces the negative effects of the heavy armor by half.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which that is a thing.
Yeah, you get that ability.
Exactly, and we had that thing, but
it's why even use it?
There was no point in equipping the heavy armor.
Because the Traveler's gear was just, you're okay taking the reduction in damage resistance in order to have the mobility.
Oh yeah.
In order to have the extra pocket space.
You don't.
In order to, just an overall around, because in this case we don't have to worry about bringing heat gear with us if we're running from Chershene to the desert. We don't have to worry about grabbing winter gear with us if we're heading from Abrazar to Chershene.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's extra weight you get on top of the extra weight you get for the pockets.
Yep.
I mean, it's fucking broken. Like, it's broken. You wear that with the stamina decrease passive that you get through training, with Tartini buff, with a water buff, and your stamina doesn't drain. It'll slowly burn the more you run, but you can just drink a tea and that takes care of that.
Yep.
And like, it's not that I want to see that go away, because I felt like that was a good reward for us, because it was super expensive. It took a lot of time to farm the, silver in order to buy that traveling salesman gear. Yeah, 2 full sets of it.
Yeah.
That took some doing. You know what I mean? And when we did, we found a couple of pieces in the environment, several places. But every time we found a piece of that in the environment, it was in a very particularly difficult dungeon. Mm-hmm. Or in a difficult bandit layer or something of that nature.
Something with a difficult enemy
before you could get it, you had to feel like you earn it. And I felt like this game did that very well with every step of the way. I didn't feel like at any point during this time I was given any hand holding, but I also never felt like I was given a lot of like push. Right. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't feel like, for instance, Destiny, where you gotta like do dailies for, a few weeks before you even get the fucking light level so you could run the end game content.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Feel that.
An artificial hand pushing you back.
Yeah.
Right? This never felt like there was an artificial hand pushing me and you back and halting our progress.
Stunning our progression.
Yeah. But it also didn't feel like Shadow of Mordor, where I could probably have put it on autoplay. It felt that easy, where it was just like you do the same thing so many times that like the only difficulty comes in when that artificial hand slides into the picture and pushes your head back. Because even Destiny, the only reason Destiny is hard is because of artificial difficulty.
Yep.
Hand in your fucking forehead, holding back your number, making you so you deal less damage, making you so you take more damage. This game had none of that. None of that. It didn't have hand holding to get me to the end of the game where they can show me the microtransaction store just to then artificially stunt my progress. So it makes me feel like I've progressed far if I log in every day for fucking couple months.
Or give them some money.
No. It felt like as me and you grew to understand the mechanics around combat, grew to be, mainly it was just being safe.
Oh yeah.
Like having some extra heals on hand, having some, if our health was burned down too low or our stamina was burned down too low, it was time to chill out.
Yep.
And we'd go and we'd just like kind of look for weaker enemies in the open world, pick them down, slowly work our way back, just not going into any dungeons, not doing any of that, just in the overworld. Finally work our way back to the city, sell whatever junk we happen to come across. Get rested, get prepared, go back to the dungeon, slowly descend. And there were some that were damn challenging, especially in the beginning when we had the weaker gear and we didn't have all the abilities and skills. So and passives and buffs and shit, we didn't have that. So there was definitely a lot of difficulty where we were dying a lot. But eventually we hit this point where we stopped dying. We just stopped dying. It wasn't happening.
There was nothing that posed a threat to us there in the end.
Yeah, sure, one of us would go down here and there, much like Destiny. One of us would go down here or there, but someone would always revive them. Mm-hmm. I'd revive you, you would revive me. We never went down. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we took down the liches. There's 2 really, I'm not going to do any spoilers in this video, but there's 2 pretty endgamey bosses that we one-shot both times.
Yep.
No problem. It got to the point where we just weren't dying anymore. We were just having so much fun exploring.
Oh, yeah.
And that treasure hunt. And then we were like, man, we're traveling salesmen. Because we were just running through the zones and we just kill everything on the path from one city to the next, dip into the city, sell everything, and then run on to Monsoon, because like you get quests,
Yeah.
and that's how it felt. Like when we were going on a quest to Monsoon, we'd go through Endmerker, kill everyone in Endmerker, go up, blah blah blah.
Yep.
And it was just like run up it through to is it the Hollowed Marsh?
The Hollowed Marsh.
The Hollowed Marsh. And there's this and the story is very well crafted. And aside from these marked locations on the map, there are hidden dungeons you can find, and there are hidden quests you can find. There's tons of stuff that in our 80-hour playthrough, I guarantee we missed.
Oh yeah.
Like I would be less comfortable. I guess I would be more comfortable saying I missed stuff in Red Dead 2, but in fact, I rushed that too in a way, even though it took me over 100 hours. But I know for sure, like we did a lot of searching. We did a lot of combing. Like when we play a game, like we play it to see everything, to do everything, right?
Oh yeah.
Especially a good game like this, where it's just so fun to do that.
Oh yeah.
And have these moments of exploration that are just jaw-dropping, like, whoa, this is amazing.
Oh yeah.
And so we did that, and I'd be 100% positive that we will find something on a next playthrough that we missed.
Oh yeah, and every playthrough is 100% different because you're looking at it through the eyes of a different faction. You know what I mean? So like one faction's playthrough might go a completely different way, which is crazy to consider when you think of the Levant ending.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna go into spoilers, but there's some crazy shit in that, and there's like.
And I wonder if those endings stay the same, because the way it works, without giving anything away, basically there's an overarching plot that encompasses all the factions, that has them interested, all three of them interested in it. And within that is where you, the player, decide which faction to join. And from that point on, once you join a faction, you're with that faction, you're getting their playthrough.
Exactly.
And it's intertwined with the other factions. You're going back and forth with the other factions, talking to some of them, fighting some of them. And so I'm curious to see how that changes, for sure. And to think that it took us around 80 hours to get the experience of one, when now that we have all this gear, we can start new characters and just immediately give them tons of silver, tons of stuff. Or if we want, we could do a legacy character and go out in the world and find these legacy chests, which are really cool, that allow you to stash a piece of gear for your next character, but then they still have to earn it. Because some of these chests are located in really challenging areas that took us quite a time of farming and getting better weapon upgrades and, better armor and shit like that you would just have to do in order to just get access to your legacy chest.
Yep. And
that's cool to me. And it's not forced upon you. You don't have to do it.
You don't have to, but
you can start a new character and just hook your character up.
It's a really good thing, though, especially when you find out that there's an item that's like a stone tablet that you inscribe an ability into. And so that's like a free ability. You
can pass skills and abilities on to your character.
And because of how that works, you're looking at like 600, I think 800, 600 to 800 was the maximum silver for one. So you just you can inscribe those to the stone tablet, put it inside that chest, give it to your legacy character, and then I'm not sure how it works. I don't think it would you don't have to consume a breakthrough point, but you just have that one.
I wonder if that's how it would work. That'd be cool.
Because that would go
then you
into
could
different
make
variants.
you could go into a triple class.
Yeah.
Where instead of just committing or 4, because you have 3, so you can commit to 3 skill trees, you would be able to have abilities from a 4th tree. You wouldn't be able to commit to it still.
Yeah,
but that's interesting.
You could find something that would complement something else, though, and it would that's what's crazy about it. There's all sorts of different variants with that, if you think about it.
Yeah, and it comes back to replayability, which I'd say there's a lot of replayability with it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I have 400 hours in Dragon's Dogma, and I can easily see myself giving up that amount of time into this as well as the years go on.
Oh yeah.
Revisiting it and doing another playthrough of it, playing it with you, doing another playthrough, getting another quest line. So overall, I would recommend this game to anyone who has the patience to learn new things and has the time to learn new things, because a lot of people, I think, get frustrated with games because they just want to feel progress when they play a game. And some games don't allow for that. You know, where you will spend several hours and feel like you've done nothing.
Yeah.
And it's not true. Like, you've done a lot. You've played the game for 3 hours, and within that time you're learning its systems and you're getting better at it. But some people just don't have the patience for that. If you're someone like that, I would not recommend this game to you. If you're someone who likes a challenge, who wants a new experience, likes RPGs, wants to see a very unconventional progression system work really well in most cases, the armor, I have to say, needs to be balanced better. The traveling merchant's gear is way too good.
Another thing is, I wish that the weather had made more impact through all of the areas instead
of just Cherchenet and Abrazar.
Where Abrazar was hot, Cherchenet was cold, but Cherchenet was only...
And I'd like to see some added, in regards to that even, I'd like to see some added weather effects to Abrazar, because it definitely, you see it get very hot, but what would be very cool is to see some very, like, wicked winds and desert winds that just obscure your vision with sand, much the way it would. Yeah, that would be really cool to see. And the thing about it is I'm not thinking that any of these things aren't. It's not like these are a company like BioWare, EA, that they have as much time to work on a product as them, with as much money and resources funneled into that project. So when I talk about the shortcomings with this game, even at the these are sorts of things that are in a Bethesda game, I'm fucking raising hell. These are the sorts of things that are, if these are in a main AAA title from a well-funded fucking developer and publisher, I'm fucking raising hell. I won't do that with Outward. Even with that game-breaking bug, I'll just mention that it's fucked and it needs to be fixed.
Yep.
But I'm not going to not recommend the game to someone based on it. I'm not going to tell anyone don't buy this game because the developers are lazy. I think these are constraints that are natural with having a smaller team, less resources, less time.
Yeah.
And so, like, for that, I think that with what they have, this is the sort of thing I want to see more of.
Oh, yeah.
And I think if you give the sorts of people who made this game, give them a company like BioWare to run.
Yes.
Right? Hire really smart money men, but put these people in charge of all the creativity in games.
Let them follow the project from start to finish.
Start to finish. And you will see amazing shit. And that's why I would recommend this game to anyone. Because for $40... it was a hell of a fucking awesome experience, an amazing journey that I still feel isn't over.
At all. And you definitely get bang for your buck here.
Oh, yeah. 9 Dots does you right. And, yes, there's problems. Yes, there's bugs. The combat is not as smooth. And I'm not even going to talk shit on the combat, because at the end, when we had adapted to it and we had our fleshed out builds, like I was saying, we were killing things without ever having to even touch them.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, without them ever touching us.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it wasn't a problem. So, I mean, I think it's a gem, a diamond in the rough.
Oh, yeah, me too.
A diamond in the rough made by some very talented people. So, it's got our hearty fucking give it a buy, give it a play.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up, thumbs up. Fucking amazing job, 9 Dots. Thanks for the experience. Me and my brother, thank you. That's something that was a hell of a fucking good time, man. Fucking taking down some of those challenging bosses. And like, that shit's, some people will never understand why that's so fun and like such an awesome experience. Be like, oh, it's kid shit. Well, fuck you. Everyone else, love you guys.
Take care, everyone.
Till next time, keep kicking ass, stay safe, stay awesome, and as always, I don't know, stay awesome. dragged that outro out too long, Chubbz. Why'd you let me do that, you fuck?
Why'd you do it?
My mind is floating away every day and just drifts farther. Is that it?
Cut.
Done? Cut. Ha! He thought it was over, but right after we said cut, and Chubbz says cut, and we were like, Mark's like, oh, we forgot to talk about those funny bugs, because we had a couple of really funny bugs that just made us laugh so hard that we wanted to really talk about them.
Oh, yeah.
You tell yours first, because this one's super funny, dude.
Mine is the one where you would teleport from off in the horizon, floating above the ground. So to break it down, what would happen is, say we were in a dungeon that was super packed or something, we were having a hard time, one of us would die. If it was me, for instance, you would just leave the dungeon, go outside, and it would pull my body and just load me right there underneath you, and you could just revive me. But for some weird random fucking reason,
I think it's the net, Cody. There's all sorts of network problems. Yeah. This being one of them.
When you would die and I would leave the dungeon, what would happen was on your screen it would show your body just right underneath me, like how mine would on yours. But for me, it would show you way off in the horizon, just dead body floating. And if your lantern was lit up in the night, it was even funnier because you could see yourself just teleporting, just vibrantly.
He captured one of these and showed it to me, and it made me laugh so hard.
And for some reason,
I look like I'm made of rubber. I'm like, my character model's like flying around all over the place.
And there was multiple instances where I captured me reviving your body as it was teleporting to the dungeon. And I would revive you way out far. And on my screen, you would pop up, do this weird sprinting animation, sporadically just teleport to the dungeon.
Teleport right to where I was at the entrance. It was like my spirit was chilling outside the dungeon, but my physical form was fucking off in the fucking distance for some reason.
And I couldn't revive you in one instance. There was one where we went into the dungeon up top and we were working our way down. And so when you died, you would die down there. And when I went up top and I left the dungeon, you were like got stuck in the fucking building.
The environment.
Yeah. Remember that one where I was like trying to revive you and you were like
the fucking
just spinning around.
It's like stuck in that circular carving.
Yeah.
Yeah, that shit was funny. Yeah, that so like, and another, the bug with the hat, dude, was pretty, and the bag.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure I only have footage of the hat, but for some reason in the desert, Chubbz had this hat that was like a hood, and it had these tusks sticking out from it. It was pretty cool looking, and it offered heat resistance. So Chubbz was using it for some reason in the desert. I could just take it off his head
randomly.
It would float behind your character model a little bit, and then when you'd stop and catch up and kind of slide on your head. But it looked all fucked, and it would let me walk up, and it would give me the option to loot it. So I was like still in his hat and running away, like.
And then I would
got your hat,
it,
fucker.
and you take it again.
I was playing keep away with Chubb's hat for like fucking so long before he was finally like, okay, seriously, dude, you gotta stop.
And then we went to Berg and you were like, go get a new hat, damn it.
Buy a new hat. I gave you 200 silver. I'm like, here,
and
get
so
a new hat.
I ran to the vendor and I sold that one, and I bought the exact same one that he had in his inventory. Not the one that I sold him. I bought a different one, but it was the same hat. And I walked up to you and was like, okay, Jake, I got a new hat. And you were still able to take it. You were like, no.
I was like, go get a different hat. God damn it, Chubbz. Your hat's driving me fucking crazy. Because it went from me fucking with you to me just being annoyed and seeing your fucking hat float behind your head. Like a fucking ghost helmet or something. I was like, what the fuck?
And then your bag.
Oh yeah, I did it to my bag too.
on your screen, you'd like picked it up off the ground and it was on your back. You were just running around.
Yeah.
On my screen, where you had picked it up, instead of it being on your back, it just was floating in the air.
Yeah.
And you had sprinted off a ways. I was like, dude, did you grab your bag? You were like, yeah. I was like, it's still floating here. And you were like, can you take it? Try and take it.
I immediately recognized it as that fucking... I was like up a hill a ways too when this happened.
All of a sudden you...
Yeah, my bag just disappears. I'm like, what the fuck,
God damn
dude? What if I was playing with some random person and they just took my shit, dude? That'd be fucked up. Oh, but we laughed. It was funny looking.
Oh, yeah.
It just like all of a sudden it wasn't on my back anymore.
Just disappeared.
You took it. Whoop. Fucking teleportation, Holmes. Bring me your bag.
It's mine
Use
now.
the force, man.
Yeah.
Anyway, those we wanted to add it on. We wanted to add those.
Yeah, we want to talk about those
because those were
funny.
funny. Those were super funny. I lost it on that hat one for a minute, and even you, like, you got annoyed after a minute because I just kept doing it. Finally, I'd be like, okay, I'm not gonna do it.
That's why I had to fuck with you at the city when you were like, get a new hat. I saw he had one of the same kind.
He just bought the same exact hat.
I sold mine for
and
$600.
That's the weird thing, is this was limited to that hat. When you equipped a new hat, it didn't do it.
At all.
It was always that hat.
Yeah, and I had been wearing that hat for a while.
Yeah,
and
before that, and it didn't happen.
It was in the middle of a dungeon in Abrazar, and you were just
because
like...
it was the desert gear.
Yeah, you just
like,
pointed it out. You're like, what the fuck, dude? Your hat's freaking out on my screen.
It's like floating behind your head, dude.
It's like, me take it. Yoink, it disappears off my head. What the fuck? Where'd my hat go, dude?
Oh, I am so immature. It's retarded how much fucking enjoyment I got out of ripping off your fucking hat, dude. And then you fucking bought that. You're like, hey, look, I got a new hat. Hey, Jeem, look, I got a new hat. Because I was in a fucking menu. And I'm like, give me a second, dude. I'm selling some shit.
Hey.
So I back out, and there he is, and it's floating there. I'm like, no, go get a new fucking hat. God damn it. That stupid fucking floating hat, dude. Oh my god. Anyway, love you guys. Fucking till next time, stay awesome.
Take care, everyone.